and welcome to Dirty Laundry, the show where I talk shit about the few people who haven't ejected me from their life. I'm Spencer Crittenden, coming to you live, and joined by me, as always, our co-host. You know him. You know, the show couldn't be done without him. Actor, improviser, comedian. You've seen him on Whose Line Is It Anyways? Suits, podcasts such as Harmontown. He played a woman in the Norm Macdonald Show. Kevin Day.
Hey everybody, that's quite the intro. I'm gonna go back and rewatch some of my old works. But yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you know, I just want to, I've said this before, but, as a kid, I didn't always have cable. Sometimes we just had kind of the basic internet or, TV channels and stuff. And so ABC Family was one of the only shows one of the channels that had like good programming on it. So, a lot of my childhood was spent watching Whose Line. And when I saw you there, that handsome blue-eyed, guy on stage, I was just like, there's something about this guy, man. He's just really funny. So, it's so interesting and cool to be able to work with you, work with you instead of just like admire your work from afar,
Yeah, well, I feel the same about you, of just working with you from Harmontown and things like that. I feel like we've really gotten to know each other.
And also, Rick and Morty, when we made Heat Vision, Jack, of course, Yeah,
Harmon Quest.
Right.
I really love being on Harmon Quest, working with you on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. So, how okay. I don't know. Here's a plan. I want to play more D&D. I don't want to start right yet, but maybe we start D&D earlier and then like eject at some point, when I'm like, I have more funny things to say. But I want to start that. But, before we kick that off, we got to get a life update. Kevin, what's your life update? Do you got one?
I'm in Los Angeles right now. Doing the shows on the road. Decided to brave the crowds. We went to Disneyland and it was just absolutely packed with people. I mean, I was one of them, so I can't really judge, but there were so many people at Disneyland. It was just as though we weren't living in a pandemic right now. But that went really well. And yeah, that's pretty much all it is. I took the train, like I said last week, and that went actually surprisingly well. That was a lot of fun. Got to see a lot of the countryside, from the train car. And yeah, so I'm here in Los Angeles and doing well.
Yeah, it was pretty great. My side of the story was, oh man, Kevin's in town. I can't wait to play with him, hang out. Maybe we could like play D&D in person or something, do the live show. It'll be so great. I'm like, oh, Kevin, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm at Disneyland. And I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, okay. And then, I keep checking back and I'm like, oh, hey, what's up? And he's like, I'm licking doorknobs. Oh my God. I just got a in-person tour of the COVID ward of the ER. And I'm like, what is this tourism that you're engaged in? I guess maybe we're not going to hang out. But I was telling you that there is this kind of common thing that happens where someone visits LA and they're like, oh, hey, I'm in LA. We should hang out. And then the LA native is like, oh, where are you staying? And they're like, I'm right outside of LAX. And then, they leave you on red for the rest of your trip in LA because it's like, I'm not going to fucking LAX. Are you kidding me? So, but it's like it seems to be a common experience where people who kind of don't know the geography of LA put themselves in a location that then LA natives don't want to go to. And so they're like, oh, we should hang out. And then it just never happens. And then it kind of, and rightfully so, it kind of goes into people's box of like LA people are flakes, right? And it's this weird thing, but it was just really interesting to see that, this was happening, but it was like, it just seems like a worse and worse idea every passing moment to see you in person, which, I'm not, this isn't judging or anything, but that has just been my experience was like, oh man, this is going to be great. And it's like, but I did get a new gas mask. Check this out.
How do you like this? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, that's so Bane right there. I love it.
I know, yeah. It's got these things. I saw
a nurse in a TikTok video wearing one, and I was like, oh, I gotta get me some of that. So
listening, it's this really cool futuristic gray design, but with these pink filters on the side.
Yeah, it's like a classic
bold
gas
choice.
mask. There's not tubes coming off of it, but there's these circular filter cartridges on either side. So I don't know. It kind of feels a little hippo like. I don't know how to describe it. But so that was it was fun. It was fun talking to Kevin. Maybe in the future the world won't be beset by plague. So that could be interesting. Speaking of the world beset by plague, I have a mild sore throat right now. What a great experience to be having in this day and time, right? What was
Have
it,
any other
Wednesday?
symptom, or is it just
No.
a sore throat?
Just a sore throat. Wednesday or something, my roommate comes in and is like, "Oh, I have a sore throat, just so you know. I just wanted you to know." And then we started talking about it, and I don't know. I have a lot of spite in my heart. That's why I have a Spitreon. But as this conversation played out, it sort of felt more like an interrogation. Like, it was like, "Are you being safe?" And it's like, well, I'm not the one with the sore throat. What is this? What's happening? Eventually, it turns into we're going to go get tested. And I was like, I'll take you to get tested, but let's go to a place where we could drive through, not get out of our car, the car, and stay away. And, so she schedules an appointment. And I was like, well, you think there's another appointment could I get scheduled? Can you send me the link? And, it felt like it took a little bit of work just to get that link where it's like, well, I'm going to give you a ride to a testing facility to get a test for free. I'm willing to do this for you. Can you send me a link so that I can maybe wring some minor benefit out of this? And so we got the appointment, and then we go to the place. It turns out it's not fucking drive through. We got to go up to people, and there's other people outside. And you know who those people are? People there for a COVID test. You want to know why? Because they think they might have COVID. So now I'm in, it's outside, but I'm under an awning, and there's, I'm trying to stay as far away as, but we're at a COVID test site in public where there's also strip malls and just people coming in and out, mask or no mask in general, so now I'm like, ugh, this is not the situation I was willing to be in, but I'm here. And I might as well get tested. And so now I have a sore throat. And isn't that interesting? So, wouldn't a very auspicious place to have contracted it was the place that my roommate wanted me to go. So is that interesting? And so I'm looking for a lawyer is what I'm saying. I'm trying to see if there could be any litigation that we might be able to bring across just to, make sure justice is served in this case. No, anyway, so that's my life update.
Some at-home COVID tests so you don't have to leave again.
Sure. Okay. I was thinking about just having some set up. The thing is, like, I don't mind the I don't want to get out. The thing is, your car, it has these HEPA filters and stuff. It's a nice, pretty safe bubble. Like, it's not perfect, but it's a lot safer than, a lot of other stuff. And so I like being in my car. I'm comfortable and safe in my car, but out of my car, I want to be it's got to be on my terms. But anyway, so I've been through, just unrelated to this, been through just a COVID Omicron panic. That's why I got this fucking gas mask, got other stuff too. I think I might just break down and buy a hazmat suit at some point. I know that I should have just bought one at the beginning of the pandemic, just because anytime I've gone to the store, first of all, it would be fucking funny to be at the store in a hazmat suit or something. But second of all, it's just, to the extent that I need peace of mind, having that in the closet would give me peace of mind. At this point, it's a choice. Am I choosing to not wear the hazmat suit? I guess that's the choice you made. It's no longer I'm being inflicted by other people's life choices. I am taking the power back. But anyway,
normalize wearing a hazmat suit to the supermarket. Like, do you think you're going to start a trend where other people are going to be doing this too?
No, I wish. Maybe if I did in the beginning, I could have. But I don't know. But why not have a hazmat suit? We live in a fucked up place. Like, there's always gas leaks and shit happening all the time in LA, and it's crazy. But I don't know. So wasn't there? I feel like I had 2 text conversations that I wanted to talk about, but I can only find one. So let's just get into this one, I guess, the one I don't have. And I don't know if you guys are following this ongoing saga, but the last time we left off, I was making fun of Jeff for being a flake. And where that story basically, well, a big part of that story was Jeff saying, hey, can't do this week, but next week we should do the show. And so that was last week. So in that time, the time frame the Sunday Jeff was referring to was this very Sunday. And I don't know, keen-eared listeners might notice they haven't heard from Jeff this episode. There's a reason for that. He's not here. But so the story so far is, Jeff was funny in saying, you guys, we should do the podcast next week, because not this week, because even though I'm bringing up, I'm also telling you I'm not going to be there. But next week, maybe so. Implication certainly being that I will be there next week, right? And so the interesting thing happened this week, which was a friend of mine texted me saying, Jeff's going to be doing a show this weekend in Seattle or some shit. And my friend's going to go to the show, and he's so excited. And I was like, that's interesting. Jeff is doing weekend shows and traveling to do them without, telling us that was happening or indicating it, or or not sending a text message that implies the exact opposite of that. Interesting information. I'm sure this will come back sometime. And then, so yesterday we get a text from Jeff. I have a long travel day tomorrow. Might be able to record audio in the afternoon. And so then I texted him. And this is a shared text with Kevin. I texted, I'm surprised you didn't mention a show this weekend, period. Keep us posted and we'll make it work. Kevin says, I'm in LA this weekend, so I'm going to try to do everything from Savant's studio tomorrow. Jeff says, is it okay if I do audio, or is that dumb? And then I say, audio is fine. The real issue is how stable your connection is going to be. Are you going to be on a bus? At this point, I'm just humoring him because it's like, none of this is going to come to anything. He's not going to be here. So how do I stop having this text conversation? And so he says, I'll be in a hotel around 2 or 3. That's on Sunday. And Kevin, you run the live stream then. So I text, I don't think Kevin can do that then, because he's going to be having to run the live stream. Let me brainstorm. That was me ending the conversation. I don't want to continue. Kevin says, if we do it at our normal time, we could do whatever, not very helpful, Kevin. I think that's kind of obvious. You know what could work? Doing the normal thing that you said you couldn't do. Sorry, I cut you off. What were you saying?
No, I was just trying to salvage it in any way whatsoever.
No, I know. You're good. Yeah. You're trying to help. Jeff, I'll be busy at 5 p.m. Spencer, what about today? Jeff, same. Spencer, well, we tried. Maybe next week. Again, I'm just done. I know this was just going to end here. I'm done. Jeff, I'll land at the hotel today around 1:30, then had to head to the venue around 5:30. The implication here, again, I'll be willing to do the podcast during that time frame. Of course, at this point, I'm already wise to the games, and I know that that's not actually what he's implying at all. He's not implying anything. He's essentially just making some noise because he doesn't want to do the show. No one ever wants to do anything once they land at the hotel after a travel day. We've been on the tour together. I've seen it happen. Like, I wouldn't want to do it either. So anyway, I see, but that's a pretty important time, right? The post-travel decompress. We might be able to do it like we did last time, where Kevin just leaves the record open and we call in. Jeff, if I don't do it again today, let's schedule another time. Again, I'm not doing anything. Why don't you do a bunch of work to accommodate me? Like, that's not an appetizing proposition. Kevin, I'm not available today, but you guys can go without me if it worked. Jeff, I'm free and home the 18th. Me. Awesome. We'll coordinate then. Which, finally, because the thing is, it's not good to have an absentee person in a collaboration. But an absentee person in a collaboration is a lot like not having a person in the collaboration, right? But the thing that Jeff is very talented at is being very in the middle of everything and trying to like shift things around him and like make it kind of work for him, the non-present party. It's like, well, what would really work for you is if you never worry about any of this and stop thinking about it at all. Then I could kind of do the thing without having to worry about just like, just this wrecking ball blasting in and trying to like be all like, what about me? Before it swings back out of the building. And it's like, you're gone now. What about you? I guess you'll make another hole in the wall in about 30 seconds. Oh, did I feel like my headphones just died. Did they? Nope, I'm okay. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Anyway, that was about the end of the rant anyway. But it's just like, I just want to do a podcast. I've always loved podcasts. I've always wanted to do a podcast before Harmontown. I didn't have a good podcast idea. I've actually wanted to do a D&D podcast for a long time, even before Harmontown. I've always I like it. Then when I was doing it, it was very fun. I listened to a lot of podcasts. It's just always something that's really interesting. Like it's something that I really like doing, but I don't know, man. It's a good thing that we can laugh about it because, if I was just not talking about this, what would we do for the 20 other minutes, right? Like, I don't know.
Well, I mean, the Jeff update is pretty funny every week. Whether he's going to come or not, I enjoy hearing your side of it.
Yes, Jeff is a character on the podcast is great. He almost works best that way.
We did a soundboard, and I'll just make cuts of him saying random things, and I can just insert him in whenever.
Yeah, I can't remember if I've mentioned that on the show, but before Jeff left, I had the idea that we should, on his last show before the tour, and then he canceled and bailed last second on that, we should get him to record some wild lines that we can use for a Jeff soundboard. And it's such a funny idea. I don't know how to execute on it successfully, but if we could actually pull that together, it would be so good. It would be worth all this hassle. But yeah, anyway, I have a Patreon, patreon.com/the6learning. You should check it out. But is there anything else? I don't know. We might just, this might just be it.
You're up to 99 patrons right now. Is that in line of what you were expecting?
Wow. So if one person joins the Patreon right now, we'll hit the 100 Patreon goal, and that will unlock the bonus reward of a Patreon Discord server. Oh boy. My fucking ears keep going out. What's happening? I might have to get this thing replaced or something. It might be broken. I got these, you got me these AirPods, and they work really well, but I bought the AirPod Pros years ago, and they just never worked right. And then the pandemic happened. And then finally, before Omicron hit, I was like, maybe it's safe to go get these fixed. And they were like, well, they're fucked and they're out of warranty. And I was like, well, they were fucked when they weren't out of warranty, but there was a pandemic and you wouldn't let us go in the store. There we go. We hit it, okay. Huh?
I just
Thank
signed
you so
up
much
as your 100th patron. So I want the Discord server right now.
Yeah. So I don't know that I want to do that right now, but after I'm sure I can set it up really immediately, and it can get really cool. We had the Master Manual Discord that still exists, by the way, and that's free. So if you want to join a Discord without paying money, you can go to the Master Manual Discord. But I think that Discord was really good. It just kind of fell out of use after Master Manual died. But I really liked the organization and everything about that. So I don't know. I just like having a community. I think social media is great. I just miss forums. You remember forums? Forums were so much better than Twitter, where everyone just screams at you. The thing about forums is one of the rules was no flaming. Do you remember flaming?
Yes.
Flaming wasn't even trolling. Flaming was just being rude. That used to be not allowed. It's crazy. But it's just, the whole thing is it's all fucking, but it's just nice having a little internet community. And ever since I started the Patreon, I was like, well, what if I just tweeted onto Patreon? What if all my social media desires, I just did them to Patreon and be like, well, these people paid for it, so maybe they'll like it. And then I'm only beholden to them, and I don't care about, because no one needs to broadcast their thoughts to the entire world. It's just, that's kind of the only option, there's a couple options, and the default one is usually the entire world. And that's not good. But yeah, so I've been doing fast food reviews. I reviewed the Diablo Double Dare sandwich. I reviewed the KFC Beyond Chicken. I reviewed the Taco Bell hot wings. I'm gonna keep doing more kind of fast food content. I've been releasing D&D content. I released there's 2 things out now. There's going to be 2 next week, 2 more next month, and I also want to make more just YouTube videos, D&D YouTube videos. So I think like, you know, there can be stuff like that. That won't, I think, solely just be Patreon stuff, but certainly that'll be part of like the enterprise that my Patreon's attempting to do. Anyway, so yeah, I'm rebuilding a digital family. So yeah, so I guess we hit our 100 Patreon goals. So that's great. What's our next one? I think 150, maybe 150 will be the Minecraft server. I don't know. We might hit a goal of Patreons and then no one wants the Minecraft server, but a Minecraft server related to people who like Harmontown is something that there has been demand for in the past. And, you know, if you pay for it, that'll cover the server costs. So then why don't I just administrate the Minecraft server? I don't know. Who knows how long that'll last, because I have run Minecraft servers before. It's not zero work, but it's not that much. But yeah, maybe 150, maybe, who knows? So that can be fun. What else? I don't know. Do you want to play D&D?
Yes, absolutely.
All right, but first we got to take a quick break. Hello, my name is Joe Exotic, the Tiger King, and I'm coming to you on behalf of something even more exotic than the world's most dangerous cat. I am speaking, of course, of the Exotic Soda Company. Exotic Soda Company makes some of the most exotic beverages on the planet. We're talking spotted albino colas. We're talking citrus fruit bat saliva. We're talking durian the soda. I'm Joe Exotic, and there's nothing more exotic than the Exotic Soda Company. You can use the promo code that happens at checkout for 15% off. And if it's not more exotic than Joe Exotic, and you can come to prison and punch me in the nuts. And we're back. So yeah, we know we love our sponsors. The Exotic Soda Company has been very good for us. I was thinking about trying to rush Kevin some sodas that we could taste on the podcast, but when I had that thought, I didn't even have enough time to refrigerate them for them to be cold enough for me. And then it's like, then his are going to be warmer. And then it's like, what? Let's just taste some weird warm sodas. I don't know. It doesn't sound right. But yeah. So yeah, I like that part of the show, but I'm not prepped for it now. Man, remember those chili fucking chips? Those were good, huh?
You can get some more of those. Yes.
Yeah, those were good. I think I have another bag that I've been saving because, you sent me 2 of everything. Like it was kind of like an ark, like Noah's Ark.
Yes. Now, we both did try the new, what was it, Mountain Dew Spark this week. We didn't wait for the show, though.
I reviewed it on my Patreon.
Okay. Well, I just I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, but Spark is interesting because to me, it just tastes like lemonade. It doesn't taste like it has dew flavor, like this kind of generic kind of citrus with this kind of soda-y, like citric acid kind of like, or is it... It's phosphoric acid, right? In soda. I don't know. That's what Coke has. I don't. Whatever. Yeah. Anyway, but so like this kind of acidic, generic citrus flavor. It just straight up like if you put in another bottle and said pink lemonade, I would just think it was pink lemonade. I think it is carbonated, so it's a bit different. But it's so much like lemonade that it's like it doesn't appeal to me because I think you get a Minute Maid lemonade or something, store-bought juices. There's some good ones, but they're not. It's like you could just make lemonade and it'll be way better, so beverages like that aren't sodas, I usually don't go for. And so it was really good for what it was, but like it wasn't hitting the soda notes for me enough to like really replace any of my go-tos, if that makes sense.
Yes. Yeah.
What about you?
I mean, I enjoyed it. It didn't remind me of Mountain Dew at all. But that's not a bad thing either. Right. Like kind of like what you're saying was like, if you had just handed it to me in an empty, like a plain glass and said, try this, I never would have guessed Mountain Dew. But yeah, but go ahead. It was good though. It was good. It was something I would enjoy on a warm day.
Yeah, I liked it. It has it was very dry, which is something that lemons and raspberries both have, I think, some dryness. And that's a very interesting kind of nice thing for a soda to have. It's a pretty unique kind of note for a mass produced kind of beverage, I think. But yeah, it was interesting. I mean, I think different people might get different mileage out of it. It comes in 0-calorie form, so if you're that might be better. Because it's like, it's not this overwhelming syrupy sweetness. So, without having, and then the dryness is nice. So like the dryness might be good with like 0-calorie or no sugar or fake sugar or whatever, I don't know. My Discord's going nuts. I think I left the Schramm Home Video Discord because I hate everyone there. They all seem to be bad people as far as I can tell. And the ones that aren't are, probably, I don't know.
You seem to not enjoy any of your fans in any medium. Is that an accurate statement?
It's the vast majority that I interact with. No, it's the vast majority of interactions I have. So there's a lot of people that I interact with. It's like there's this thing called the 80-20 principle that gets misapplied and misunderstood in various ways. The way I like to understand it is 80% of your problems come from 20% of your customer base. So as a business, if you spend all your effort trying to make the whiniest whiners happy, you would be better off cutting them loose 9 times out of 10. Like sometimes it's like your biggest fish is going to be a really needy client and you can't afford to cut bait. But most of the time, I think you can kind of minimize your mental anguish by telling people to fuck off. And so I think it's a similar thing where like the 20 worst percent of people interacting with me overrepresent themselves and make me just feel like everyone who talks to me is the worst. And but there are regulars and the regulars come and go and stuff, but there's always like this big core of regulars that is always really chill. And even if they're getting on my nerves, I like them. I recognize them. I see their names and their profiles and stuff, and I track them. And those people are all great. It's just, I don't see the positive. Why would I, why would you talk about something that's not bothering you? It's like, oh man, I'm in an uncomfortable chair. Why would I? This chair is so uncomfortable. And also, the air conditioning is perfect right now. It's like, no, you assume most things are fine unless you're complaining about something, right? So it's like, I'm always complaining about the things I see, but that's just because I'm not praising the good things or the lack of bad things, Anyway, but Schramm Home Video Discord's different. Those people are fiends and they're fucked. There's a lot of negative things I could say about them specifically. They also just didn't seem to like me, which is fine. They don't need to like me. And maybe they don't like me because of how much I hate them. That's reasonable. But that's a situation. And I don't like them. And it's a bummer because I do like feedback. Well, I like feedback hypothetically. I don't know if I like feedback in a literal sense. I don't know that I respond well to literal feedback. But the idea, love it. And, the live chat, that's awesome. I would love to be able to stomach the live chat in the Schramm Home Video Discord. That could be a great value add for the show, but I can't. Hey, maybe we'll go to the live chat from the Patreon and I'll just be looking at that the whole time. And I'll be like, these guys, they're paying for access. This is the tier. Yeah.
Put up with more grief from your fans if they all were paying you?
I don't know. There's been one customer this whole time that signed up for the Patreon where it made me go, this is where you got to either smile and take someone's money or tell them to kick the bricks. You just got to kind of, and I kind of expected to hit that point much, much earlier. So, okay. But I think I'm going to try and generally be nicer when I'm streaming. I'm generally nicer to people who are in my Twitch streams just because it's like, well, they might give me money. It's not like I put up with stuff. I'm probably more mean to my fans than a lot of people are, even on Twitch. And it's something I do. It's like something when I can get distance from, I can regret it, right? But in the moment, it's hard to see past your self-righteousness and stuff, But like, I would like to not be that person. I've had negative interactions. Here's an interesting story. There is a formative moment in my famous person journey or whatever, where we did the upfronts for CISO. We did a presentation, like a fake episode of Harmontown or Harmon Quest for the upfronts that CISO was presenting at in New York. The upfronts, do you know what the upfronts are?
Yeah, where you're trying
They're hard to explain. Do you want to try and explain them? If you can't, I'll try, but it's like they're hard to explain.
Well, isn't it kind of like, you're trying to either pitch or repitch yourself to the network for either the next season or the first season? Is that kind of...
I think it's kind of like that, but it's more like Comic-Con. You know, Comic-Con, it's like Game of Thrones is at Comic-Con, and here's the trailer for Game of Thrones. Holy shit. It's kind of like that, but it's just all the networks and big things are like, we got Will Smith is producing 3 series for HBO Max, and then it's kind of just like a convention, like a publicity convention where a lot of bigwigs come and see what the big power players are doing in the hopes of getting excitement, investors, and people who want to do business. I think that's what it is. I could be way off, but yeah, it's kind of pitching to the world more than like any specific professional. It's a networking event. But so CISO was at the upfronts. They were trying to make a big splash. They wanted Harmon Quest. A big part of their marketing was Dan Harmon. It wasn't their whole marketing, but that was part of it. And so they wanted us to do, and I was very resistant because Harmon Quest works in the edit. It doesn't work as it doesn't not work as a live show, but it's like, there's a lot of dead air, jokes that don't land, people being clumsy, and cutting that out makes a really good product, and leaving that in, it can really kill a lot of the comedic momentum and stuff. And then the audience is fucking network hacks and shit. Like, there's suits and fucking, it's not a comedy audience. It's not a Harmontown audience. They're just fucking, they don't know what Harmon Quest is. They might not know anything about Harmon other than like Community or whatever, So what?
Oh yeah, agreeing. Yes.
Oh yeah, and so they also wanted us to do the show with 2 of their other CISO talents who were the love breakers or whatever, the heart. I don't know. This fucking show. I don't know who the fuck they were. They're probably nice guys. They did not seem very funny at the time. I was very worried about how they would perform because picking guests and trying to like make sure the guests' influence isn't like too negative and they can be kind of reined in and guided into the right directions is pretty important part of the performance of the D&D. And they were not giving me positive signs. And so they almost immediately started going off book and just improvising and stuff. And then it was just really not funny stuff that they were doing by any metric, but also it was a bad crowd for their antics. And so they just started shitting the bed really hard. The whole thing was a fucking nightmare. The hardest I've ever bombed in my life. I haven't really bombed too hard. I've had jokes that don't go well, but I don't think, I don't do stand up or anything. Even the worst shows we've done didn't feel like super bombs. Or if they're going bad, you kind of just like, this is so fucked. Let's just get through it and it's over. It's like, it's this weird thing. Anyway, but so the bomb happens. And again, this is to me, this is a moment that it sticks in my memory. And after the show, we're backstage and Dan is talking to people and two people walk up, 2 40-year-old fans. I don't know. They say hi to Dan. Dan introduces them to me. Hey, what up? This is Tom. This is another lady. And he was like, oh man, great show, man. And I was in such a bad mood. And when he said, I didn't want to be talking to this guy. I didn't want to be anywhere. I wanted to be I didn't want to exist. I wanted to like obliviate myself. I wanted to be like high as fuck or blasted out of my mind or something. I just wanted to stop thinking about how terrible the show was going to be because I knew it was going to be terrible the whole time. I tried to warn everyone. Anyway, so I made the choice. And in the moment, I was like, this is a bad thing to do. I'm going to give this guy like the cold shoulder. I'm going to give this guy a bad treatment. I'm going to punish this fan for talking to me after the show and having the gall to praise me for something I think was really bad. And so I kind of did oh, thanks. Like rolling my eyes, turn away, like really deliberate, like complete turn away and just walked away. And then like it stuck with me because it's like, I don't know who that guy is. I don't know what he's been going through. I don't know what he thinks of me. I don't know what his relationship to is. If this is a fan who is really excited to talk to me and that's what I gave him, Like that would be such a bum. Like if that was me, that would be so like sad and such a bummer. And I'd be like, that guy's an asshole. You know, it's like, first of all, I don't want to inflict that on someone, but second of all, it reflects poorly on me, you know, but it's just, but you know, and it's also like, it felt like it was something I felt would be make me feel better in the moment. And as I was doing it, it didn't, you know, and it's like, this didn't work. This isn't something you should think of as a way to go about. You got to conduct yourself better as a person who's a known quantity in this world. It's always stuck. And it's like, I never wanted another fan to have that experience with me. And so it's not like I've ever really been, I'm not a saint or anything, but I think since then I really, have tried to be a lot more patient with in-person interaction. I really shit on people online, don't get me wrong, but in person I try to not be an asshole if I can help it. Because you're just trying to deliver the experience to what they want. And so cut to years later, I'm calling into the Best Show with Tom Sharpling, and I talked to him, and I was talking about Harmon Quest for some reason, and he says, "Oh, I've met you before," and I was like, "What? No, you haven't." And he's like, "Yeah, no, I met you at the New York Upfronts." And so the fucking fan was Tom fucking Sharpling, like this huge podcaster, a giant in the fucking comedy community, and I just thought he was some shit-eating fan who I was like, I'm gonna fucking teach this guy a lesson for being nice to me. He doesn't know who I am. He was just genuinely, he maybe saw a guy bomb and was trying to make him feel better, you know. And it's like, it's just like, and so like, but it was already this weird formative moment for me. But then talking to him and then I had to be like, oh, I was not feeling myself. Like I didn't want to explain this to him. Be like, oh, this is a weird thing that's followed me, and it's really weird that it connects to you, you know. And so I didn't explain it, but I try to kind of bullshit. But I don't know what he thinks of me. Whatever. He seems like a really nice guy. If he doesn't like me, he's probably right. You know, that's fine. But I don't have any reason to believe he doesn't like me. But it's just this weird thing, and so it's just like the weird thing that affected me, and then it just like my mind just exploded, and it just been like, yeah. I mean, this is why I regretted the moment so much. It was like this, because who knows who you're going to be talking to, but whatever. I don't know why I brought that up.
Well, I mean, I could say, I went on probably 10, 15 road trips with you guys to not part of Harmon Count, or was it Harmon Country, but like random road shows.
Yeah.
And after each show, there was pretty much the same pattern every time where, there would be a horde of people waiting to meet you guys at the end of each show. And Dan would go out there and give a good solid 5 to 10 minutes of signing a few autographs, but leaving a lot of people hanging. Jeff would come out, wave to a couple people. Someone would give him a gift, and he would go, "Hey, we're going to this bar. Meet us there, everybody." And then he would disappear. And you would always stay. I mean, there was one show, I think it was the Portland, like the Bridgetown Comedy Show, where you were out there for probably an hour and a half, 2 hours, making sure that every single person who wanted to see you, saw you. And the moment the last person left, you just looked so drained and tired, and like it was work for you to be on for that long, but you still did it, and you made sure that every person who wanted to see you got as much time with you as you wanted. So it's interesting to me to sort of see this contradiction, I think, of you online hating your fans almost universally, but in person being the most generous person with your time I've ever seen anyone do. No one does that at shows. I don't remember seeing anybody at a concert or a comedy show or anything waiting for the 300th person to meet them. So there's an interesting contradiction in you.
I mean, but it's like because that is kind of my urge. I will say that, I have seen myself toxify and shrink as a person. I think I used to be a better person than I am. I think I've had a lot of growth, during this whole process, but overall, I think like I'm more traumatized and fucked in ways that I haven't like therapied out of myself or whatever, like than I've grown. And it's a bummer because I don't want to be like that. But also just like, I used to be a lot kinder kinder online. I would still be sardonic and tell people to fuck off and stuff. But when Trump won, I was just like, no, I'm done. There's no reason to be civil to people online. I'm going to scream at anyone I want to scream at because none of this matters. Like, you know, I'm no longer trying to reason with anyone, which is what I was trying to do. Understand someone else's position, explain mine. If they don't buy it, whatever. At least the logic's there on the table. Maybe someone else sees it, you know, maybe it convinces someone else. But a real switch flip for me where it's just like, no, I'm just going to scream at everyone. I know that when I feel bad, I want to lash out at people online. And so I'll just not make excuses. And if I really want to try and level with someone, I'll be like I was. I'll explain things, but I'm not just going to be all like, well, I think you're being not very nice, so I'll leave you now. You know, I'll just be like, fuck you or whatever, you know? So, and that's something I kind of regret, but because I think that splashes off on my fans. Like, I don't think that's necessarily a bad way to be in general online, but it's like, I did it because there are people who deserve it. And because I've toxified, it's happening to people who don't deserve it, you know?
I mean, do you find it cathartic to unleash on somebody online and block them and all this, or do you feel worse afterwards?
It's both. It depends. I like blocking people, muting people, because it's like, I don't want to have this negative stimulus. That's the problem. Once the stimulus is there, nothing good comes out of it, you know? If I handle it well, it's bad. If I handle it poorly, it's bad. You know, it's all bad. The only solution is to remove the stimulus, you know, but yeah, it doesn't make me feel better. It's an adrenaline rush, you know. It kind of gets your organs pumping. It's the fight or flight syndrome. You know, I don't know. I have ADD. I think ADD people oftentimes look for hits of dopamine. You know, there's oftentimes people who do drugs. As a result, you know, addiction is very prevalent among ADD people. Oftentimes, you know, they go for unhealthy foods to kind of boost their dopamine. I think there might be similar kind of like exhilaration or thrill seeking or kind of like conflict seeking is like a thing that can trigger this similar like dopamine rush. So I don't know. I think like TikTok is really popular because you just get, it's like a roulette where you're always finding a new thing, always getting a new hit every single time. And, you know, I think fighting with people online kind of activates some sort of circuit like that. And it's not good because it's like an adrenaline rush. And when the adrenaline leaves, you're like, oh my God, and your hormones are all fucked and stuff, you know, but in the moment it's doing something for you. I don't even think it's good, but you're feeling that, and it propels you, you know?
Exactly. You know, I used to be a lot more argumentative online, and you know, if somebody was expressing an opinion that I thought was just factually incorrect, it would upset me to the core. You know, like right. I could not handle hearing people spouting things that I thought was just so misinformed that, you know, like it was offensive to me as a person.
Right.
And you know, there were a couple times where like I went, okay, you know what? I'm going to figure out how this person got this misinformed, and would spend some time with them. You know, just like I would just DM random people that would assault me on Twitter and go, listen, I really think what you're saying is just factually untrue. It's not just that we disagree as people. You're saying something that I think is just like wrong. You know, I would love to know how you ended up with this opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. You know, maybe, you know, would you talk to me? And most people just flamed me and, you know, trolled me, however you want to look at it. But sure. there were a few who actually responded genuinely. And I kind of have now changed my viewpoint to feel like a lot of the people that I'm looking at on Twitter or, you know, TikTok or any of these things that are just offensively wrong are just misinformed. And looking at it from that viewpoint, rather than being, God, you're a horrible person because you believe that 5G is giving you cancer, you know, things like that. I almost to the point of like, hey, I feel sorry for you because you believe these obvious lies. Hey, can I help you? This, you know, I'm not saying that I think that's a healthy thing for anyone to do, or it's something that anyone should really be spending the time doing. I just kind of feel like a lot of the people online that upset me, I should feel sorry for, not angry at.
Well, I have that. That's the thing. So I don't know. Sometimes I think I might be an empath, which is not something I'm comfortable admitting. But like, when I see people feeling bad, I just like it really, sometimes it feels like it hurts me more. Like, so when I see these screaming Nazis and stuff, I do feel so bad for them. And I really feel a lot of pain, because it's like, how do you twist into some husk like that? How do you go from a real live person into just a hateful shell of like catchphrases and fucking, racist statistics or whatever, just racist catchphrases? Like, it's the abuse that it takes to turn a human being into that is immeasurable, and I feel myself feeling that, and it hurts, and I feel so bad for all these fucking Nazis, but they are going to kill us. Like, so it's like, it's so weird. Like, because I think like that's a fundamental thing that's changed in reality, is we used to actually have the pretense of arguing on merits, but now fundamentally we're in an existential crisis for what reality is, what kind of people are allowed to exist. Like, just, this is so far beyond the marketplace of ideas and free exchange of information and debate and discourse. It's not, it's just a thin pretense for fascism. They don't want to argue. They want to kill us. Like, they might not want to kill us right now, but they want to be able to run us off the road if they get mad at us and not get punished for it, even if we die. Like, I think it might be a little extreme to be like, oh, old granny wants to stab someone to feel alive. Like, oh, Pep needs to get his pecker hard by like running over a biker or something. So I don't think it goes that far, but I do think they have anger and they want to express it, and they feel like if they do what they're doing politically, they might be more like allowed to do those things. And they are. I mean, if you look, right-wing people just get to kill us and get away with it. Good people can't kill bad people with guns without getting arrested. Bad people constantly get away with murdering good people. It's insane. And I just think that this growing thing where I can just hurt people that piss me off and get away with it. And it's just like, and so it's like, this isn't even discussion anymore. It's just like, what can we do to stop these people before they actually get to the point where they are just killing us? And we're honestly at that point, I don't know. You just like, there's a guy who in Texas, it's just a big thing to hit bikers with your car, because cyclists are going to be liberal and guys in trucks are going to be conservative. So they just feel like they can just inflict violence, and they get away with it constantly. There's a guy, he probably only got away with this because he's a sheriff or something, but he ran over a black guy in his car and then got out of his car and shot the guy twice in the back and killed him. And he's not arrested. Like, that's fine. He's allowed to do that. That's the world. That's not illegal. I mean, it is, but we live in a world where those people get to do that. How do you think that shapes their thinking? Like, these are people who can kill us, and they're winning politically too, because the media doesn't say that. They're like, oh man, Joe Biden's approval rating is so bad. I guess they should have thought twice before objecting to the GOP's strategy of murdering people. That was such a savvy move for the GOP. It's just insane. It's fucking insane. Anyway, it goes beyond just trying to understand people's minds at this point. That's how I used to think, and now it's we are at war. And we are losing the war because we're not fighting the war. The other side is fighting the war, and we're not. We're going to work,
One thing that comes to mind to me a lot, I'm not disagreeing with you here. This is just something that I keep thinking about. Sure. Is it actually getting worse, or are we just both at the age now where we're savvy enough about politics and news and the world around us that we're seeing these things for what they are, and it's always been this way?
Yes, but those forces just haven't been so empowered. I mean, think about it. We did kill the Nazis. Like, there was skinheads in America, and the cool thing to do would be to punch them and beat them up because they were skinheads. We've grown out of that. That doesn't happen anymore. Nazism has empowered itself. Those structures have always been in play, subtly, secretly controlling everything. Historically, we've always had periods of progress, and then this reactionary counter backlash. This right wing backlash. It happens all the time. Like, I don't know. I don't know enough about history to really name the dates, but like Robespierre, the Reign of Terror, and stuff like that. Like, there's just been these violent counter reactions. They usually go to, the Cultural Revolution, Mao, like North Korean stuff, these uprisings happen. Typically in the course of world events, they aren't permanent. They're usually these little hiccups after they kind of interrupt periods of decent progress, but they can be really catastrophic. I mean, the Dark Ages was one. It made the whole ass fucking Dark Ages. We slid for so long, we might be entering a new Dark Ages. So all those powers have been into play, but I think we are in this period of this backlash, and it's real, and we're probably going to win eventually, but what's winning look like? Is America destroyed, being in shambles, burning ruin? That might be winning. That might be what it looks like. Is 300 years later, cyber Russia conquers Nazi America? That's technically in the history books, that's winning. We're not going to survive that. We're all going to die. But, the world will keep turning. But, maybe not. Maybe we'll just maybe we'll just blow up the planet. Who knows? But yeah, ultimately, I think the powers are still there, but ebbs and flows happen throughout history.
The statistic that keeps coming to my mind when I think about things like this, because also feel like things are getting worse and they're spiraling out of control, and people are murdering each other in the street and getting away with it and things like that. But I also remember too, violent crime has been going down since the 70s, and we are at probably the safest period in human history when it comes to violent crime. All crime has gone down for the most part since the 70s and 80s. There's some people who think that has to do with leaded gasoline, some people that thinks it has to do with politics, whatever reason it is. Crime across the board has gone down, consistently for the last few decades. So do we just feel like it's not safe, and feel like these problems are getting worse because they're more in our face, they're more unpredictable? Because in the past, I think there was a lot of cases of, you got murdered, but you knew who the person was because it was some fight over land or a cow or a horse or whatever, where today it seems like more random. Is that scarier? Like, how do you reconcile the whole, hey, the world's getting safer, but at the same time, this is getting worse?
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Well, it's just the different things, I'm afraid of COVID, right? I drive every fucking day a lot. It's hypothetically more likely that I'll get in a car crash and die than I'm going to die of COVID, right? But it's but there's the losses that we accept as part of society. I think crime is going down, and we kind of accept that we live in this safe society, and we just kind of internalize that. But we still see external, new, foreign, shiny threats, and those are the ones we focus on. I mean, I think there's just a really strong historical argument for where we are being relatively unique. I mean, for one, remember the Voting Rights Act? There's this whole thing called the Civil Rights Movement, and basically the big thing that it did was the Voting Rights Act. The Voting Rights Act got killed in 2015 or something. Trump's election was the first election we had since the Voting Rights Act got passed that was an election protected by the Voting Rights Act. The Voting Rights Act was invented to prevent Southern slave states from oppressing and suppressing the votes of black people. We've decided that it's now okay to suppress the votes of black people. We are now in a world where those are being suppressed. It's working. The strategy is working. So there are traceable, concrete political things that are happening that historically do lead to violence, and then we're also seeing that violence. So it's like, we might never get in a car crash, but if a pogrom happens, that's still a big problem. Even if seatbelts save more lives than the pogrom killed, right? Pogrom.
Exactly. Yeah. No. I think too, people are really bad at processing risk, myself included. I think
humans are.
Humans are.
Think about this is a tiny pocket rant, but the humans that survived were the people that believed false things to survive. If you're like, oh, I can't jump over this chasm to escape this saber-toothed tiger, they're just going to stay on the one side and get eaten. Even if a lot of the people make the jump and die, the one person who made the jump and made it, believing a false thing, survived. It's like you have to assess your risk and be all like, oh man, I'll die here, or I'll die. That was actually wrong. We should cut this out. People do because situations used to be life or death. Loss used to be a bigger factor. Now losing $5 feels like death because it's the same brain circuits that determined whether or not eating a berry would kill us. Right. So it's like our survival instincts are not meant to mitigate risk the way that we experience it in our lives today.
Right, but
sorry, I cut you off.
No, even knowing the risks, we're still bad at it. Like I've professionally flown, as a passenger, millions of miles as part of my past jobs. And I know I'm statistically more likely to die from an accident driving to the airport than I am on the plane. I know that. But that doesn't mean I don't occasionally have the thought of what am I going to do if this plane crashes. I never think that when I'm driving, but I think that every time when I'm on the plane about to take off and I hear a noise I didn't hear before, and I think, kind of as a society, we're the same way. We focus on the very unlikely scenarios. People are dropping dead from COVID all the time. That's, the number one cause of death this year in this country. That's terrifying. There are people right now that just absolutely do not care, but they're worried about 5G killing them, or they're worried about all of these incredibly unlikely scenarios that are that are going to kill them. And I think that makes us, just as a society, just make bad decisions. I wish we would listen to people. There should be a politician's job of just being a statistics explainer and say, listen, we're worrying about the wrong things, people. You need to focus on this other thing here. This isn't even the issue. But
I was thinking that one of the big problems with the COVID response was there's this lack of information, even with the Fauci of it all. It's like we're still relying on people to turn on a TV, and find a channel and get there at the right time. Like in remember the Cuban Missile Crisis had kids learning in school to hide under their fucking desks with videos made by the army because they thought people should know that. So they put together a program to inform them. There's no dedicated effort to dispense information in a formalized way to the public. There should be just a giant CDC site of videos that gets updated every day with every single fucking science that we learn. Every day I'm learning this and that, conflicting, contradicting. It's like, I feel like I've been pretty on top of this stuff, and I'm still like, I've been quoting misinformation, I've been misunderstanding this or that risk. Like I've learned a lot about N95 masks in the past couple of days. They say that they're meant for one use only, and I was like, why? Okay, so we can't use them longer than one day. But the reason they say that is because they're meant for hospital settings where cross-contamination is really dangerous. So you can't let something go. But in a normal context where you can let all the virus, when it's only COVID and the COVID dies in 3 days and you can let it stay for 3 days without using it again, suddenly the one use thing doesn't, but it's like, that should have been day one. They should have been telling, all this information should be fucking, it's just insane. It's just fucking, there's no civic spirit anymore. We're not one thing anymore. We're just all a bunch of fucking little businesses. Like we used to have like a common culture and it was subsumed by capitalism. The culture wasn't great, but it was only culture. It wasn't a profit seeking endeavor, or maybe it was, maybe it was all just a fabric to keep power in power. I don't know. You want to play D&D?
Yes.
Sorry. I want to play more D&D, but whatever.
That's fine. You want some music?
Yeah. Maybe we should do D&D only segments that only show up on my Patreon.
Ooh.
What about that?
People.
Yeah, if Jeff comes back, then we can, we don't have to, even if Jeff comes back, that doesn't mean we got to stop the story of Johnny DeFever.
Exactly.
I don't know. We'll figure it out.
All right.
Take music. There we go. The 50 Years' War. Victory was inevitable, advisors claimed. It was a quaint little affair, snorted the aristocracy. That was before the name, of course. The 50 Years' War. A cheery little kingdom, an unquenchable greed, an arrogant invasion of a neighboring country. By the time the 50-year war drew to a close, Ivalice was in shambles. They couldn't manage to take over the nearby kingdom at all. A once prosperous nation, now a worn-torn wasteland, studded with keeps, blight, and broken farms. Sickness, famine, poverty. The royal family is in hiding. The question of succession hung in the air. The country hadn't even the coin to pay their soldiers for fighting the fucking 50 Years' War. Unrest grew. Factions beat their shields. Crime ran rampant. The once stable alliances of knights that held the country together grew cold and distant. Why would this country fall to infighting? When would enough be enough? Not today. we find ourselves on a battlefield, a church, or a monastery, where knights of the southern sky would draw swords against the royal family itself in an apparent bid to take power. Now. Sorry, I had to look at the screen, which is behind the screen, so I gotta do the thing. You get it. Anyway, so, maybe that's a good actual introduction to the kind of world building. You got any questions? You remember what's going on?
So I'm on my laptop, so I don't have my full notes with me, but there was a princess that was being attacked by invaders. Johnny DeFever went outside and kind of flanked around the back door to look to see what was going on. There were some defenders of the princess there, but they were being outnumbered by these knights. Is that correct? That were attacking?
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, you are a mercenary with the Knight of the Northern Sky. You were protecting the princess in the church. The Order of the Southern Sky shows up, and they're like, "We want the princess," which is not good. These were once allied factions, now coming to blows. I do not have my dice, but I have them right here. So, yeah. So I think I mentioned before, but there was 12 knights. And they were facing down of eight soldiers of your company before your squad joined. Yeah. There's Rollo there. He's your friend. There's Geffen. He's kind of your boss, not quite. A mercenary. And they're with you in your squad. You were kind of taking a lead, sneaking around. And yeah, so let's set the stage. It's a really small church. There's kind of a river that kind of runs by the back of it. In front, it's winter. Snow is covering everything. You can see a couple. There's two fallen soldiers on the battlefield. Their blood spills out. Staining the white with a deep red. Yeah, 8 knights. No, 12 knights. Sorry, getting these numbers wrong. And they're engaged. They're just going at it. It's crazy. These knights are good.
And so it kind of looks like our side is losing right now, or at the very least, the odds are not in their favor.
Well, now that you're reinforcing them, the odds are a lot more even. But yeah, so Geffen, he pulls out this sword. It's stained. It looks like it's made of gold and stained in blood, and he calls out, "Halt! Halt, you vagabonds! You attempt to take the princess? This is a declaration of war!" But no one says anything. The combat continues, and he goes, "Ugh. Well, I tried." He starts charging.
All right. I don't have my dice with me, so you're gonna have to do this. But so I guess it's my turn now.
Yep, you can go
right.
first.
I'm gonna cast Scorching Ray on the 3 closest to dead-looking ones there are.
All right. Where are my fucking dice app? Called Hedra, right? Sorry. Well, when I was a kid, we used to play D&D, but we called it playing pretend. We didn't know that dice were part of it. If something seemed like it would work, it would work. Why don't we try that? It's going to be 10 minutes.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, these armored knights, full armor. They seem tough. But you wave your arms in a magical manner, conjure 3 firebolts, and what do you want to do? You want to hit 3 guys? Where do you want to hit them? What are you aiming for?
Aiming for right in the face. And let's pick the 3 that are either closest to death or about to hurt one of my guys the worst.
All right. So yeah, you blast them. Your 3 fireballs hit, but they have helmets, and most of them don't hit. One of them goes straight through the grill into the guy's face, and you can smell the smell of burning pork as he falls down. But the rest of them have dodged. The knights continue to close in. They start slashing people. Man, you can tell these knights know what they're doing, but also the strength on these guys with a couple swords. They hit these mercenaries. The mercenaries not well armed, but with the strike of their swords, their armor just splits open, and they're essentially just cut in half. This is not inhuman strength, but it's very impressive. How you could just sunder the armor so easily of an armored foe. So 4 of the knights close in. 2 of them got hit, and so they can't. They didn't get. They're like distracted by your fire, but they're going to go through and attack the soldiers. They cut 2 more down. So now you got 6. You have 6 left that are outside of your squad. And then your squad is, who is it? It's you, it's Geffen, it's Rollo, and it's 3 other people. So those knights do that. There's also knights in the back, and they actually pull out longbows. They're about 100 feet back. So you don't, they're not super close, but longbowmen are very powerful, and they unleash another volley. But it mostly goes wide. One of the guys takes 2 arrows, but he doesn't fall down. Then Geffen goes, he draws his sword, or he already drew his sword. He casts an incantation over his blade. And he screams like, he goes, "Let the blood of my enemies soak into the thirsty earth." And he swings his sword, and you can see this beam of red light blast off of it, and it just pierces through a fully armored guy, and he falls down dead. His heart is exploded, and he's just bleeding out. And then Rollo goes in for an attack, but he misses. Rollo, all right, it's your turn.
All right. I guess since fire didn't work, let's try magic missiles. Let's pick the one that Rollo just tried to attack and hit him up with 3 magic missiles.
All right. Yeah, so magic missiles don't miss. You find that they even kind of squeak through the armor of the knights to punch them directly in the face. One of them kind of takes a knee. He's been battered, but he's not dead. So yeah. The knights are going to go. They're going to continue to fight, and they're not really making any progress. Now we're at a kind of even fight. Now that you've joined the fight, that's happened. Our side is going to go. They're going to make a bunch of attacks, but they don't do very well. The combined attacks of everyone manages to fell another knight. So now there's 9 knights left. But it's your turn again, because this is a 1-player game. So maybe you have more actions than your average turn.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess since magic missile worked, I'm gonna lean on that one more time.
The same guy?
Same guy. Yeah, let's do that first. Yeah.
Okay. All right. He goes down. So that's eight knights left, huh?
Yes.
Was there any other thing they wanted?
Let's see. I can't cast Cure Wounds again on the same turn, right? Is there anybody near me that could use that?
No, there's a couple wounds. There's the guy with the arrows, but no. Sorry, I'm trying to pull up more notes. Yeah, no, it would take your whole turn.
Okay. Then yeah, I mean, I think other than just beating on these guys, I mean, do I notice anything about these attacking knights that might be useful information? Do I see anything around us that would help?
So let's actually roll a perception check. Do you have your perception, or am I going to have to make something up?
Let me look. Perception. I have +5 to perception.
All right. So yeah, you kind of you're trying to search, what you know about history, what about threats, everything. Trying to put it through together. You can't really figure out anything, but then you hear the fucking the receding. You hear the sound of steel clashing against steel coming from the back of the fucking church, the side door that you snuck out of.
Oh, let's run there quick. Someone might be going after the princess. This might have been a distraction the whole time.
Boy, howdy. Doesn't it seem that way?
Yes.
Because, basically the second you whirl around, you see another knight. This one is wearing incredibly cool clothes. This guy looks fucking cool as shit, man. And he's riding on a beast known as a horse bird. A giant fucking maybe ostrich size, bigger than ostrich. Like imagine like 3 times the density or weight of an ostrich, but giant bird, brown legs, bright yellow feathers, and a thick, dull, stubby beak. They're known as horse birds. And he's riding the horse bird. And under his fucking armor, you see, or under his arm, you see the unconscious princess. He's fucking getting the fuck out of there on a fucking steed way faster than you can go. You have basically one action or reaction to do anything otherwise this guy's fucking gone.
I mean, I think the only thing I have that's even maybe useful is Ray of Frost to slow him down, but that only lasts one turn, right?
Yep. Yeah,
okay.
if you're not lying, then your options are very dire. But I can roll it for you if you want.
Yeah, so I yell, "Stop, or you're going to regret this!" And I throw Ray of Frost at him with everything I've got.
All right. What's your spell bonus? Your spell attack bonus?
Let me look.
Sorry.
+6.
Yeah, I was thinking it was 6. Yeah, so no. But so you call that out. You start casting your spell, ready to catch him, and you see he turns around to look at you. And what you see fucking stops you in your tracks. Your breath catches in your mouth, and the spell just completely fails because of the utter shock at what you're seeing. This person wearing the colors of the Knights of the Order of the Southern Sky, the same faction that attacked you to get the princess. This person is one of your oldest friends.
No.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We're talking about Marcos. This is Marcos. Oh, man. And you remember Marcos. You remember Marcos so bad that you start to remember. You flash back. You flash back to a point in time that most of this story is going to take place in. It's going to be a really long time till we flash back forward back to the present day. So if you're keeping track at home, this is a very important thing. This is your friend Marcos. The two of you were always best friends. You, of course, noble family, member of a noble elf family. But Marcos, not so much. Human, low-born, no nobility, no noble blood, nothing. And you remember back to the time where you both started at the academy. The academy of mercenaries. It's kind of where... it's where kingdoms and stuff go to train their soldiers and stuff. That's where you learn to be a soldier. You learn to be a mercenary. Get combat training, for you in your case, magic training. It's all war magic and in service of fighting, because this is a war torn country. This is the country you left. And back at the days of your academy, here you are with Rolo. Marcos. You're hanging out. So you and Marcos are hanging out. You're at the table. It's kitchen time. What you saying?
Hey guys, this is some amazing meal. Thank you guys for coming out tonight. What do we got going on right now? What are we doing today?
Well, training's done. It's kind of, we're just hanging out. What's up? You guys hear any cool stories?
I heard about this goblin just outside of town with this insane pile of cash. I was trying to think of maybe we go check that out later.
Wow, that's crazy. We should do that now. Wait, no, I got a story. Hold on. I've been hearing stories of this gang called the Corpse Brigade. The Corpse Brigade is a group of highwaymen who, in the shadow of the war, they've just kind of fell to a life of crime. They got really good at fighting. No one ever paid them for their fighting, so they're just going to start killing people and taking their stuff. It's the Corpse Brigade, and if you want that gold, you can bet they're going to want that gold too.
I mean, that sounds better than the goblin, to be honest with you. We should go investigate that.
All right. So before you can do that, a dude, what's his name? Carlton dashes in. He's your superior officer. He's the guy that kind of dispatches different groups of mercenaries and troops to different jobs and stuff. And they're like, we got a live one. There's a group of rogues retreating through the city of Galleon, and they need to be cut down quick. If you guys don't get out there now, oh boy, it'll be a bad look for our new crop of mercenaries. I tell you what. Galleon is also the city that you're in. So you're kind of in this keep in the city, and it just so happens that a bunch of bad guys are racing through.
Well, that sounds even. Yeah, we got to deal with that before we can go on any side missions. I think job come first. Come on, guys. Let's finish eating later. Let's go.
Yeah, we're not sell swords without selling our swords. Ah, ha, ha, ha. That's the credo of the mercenaries. Cliffhanger? Whatever. I don't know. Whatever.
Cliffhanger.
I don't know how well this is going. I think we should give it some more times. It's interesting. I think I need to prep more, but that's cool. It's fun. But yeah, thanks so much. What? Patreon? I don't know. You think we're ever going to monetize this podcast?
Yes. Let's do that next. After
Patreon.
Patreon. Yeah.
Monetized podcast. Jeff's touring. You can go check out Jeff. I don't. Yeah, and as always, Rudy Tootin' Tuesday.
Starburns Audio.